Greetings everyone and welcome to Spacing Out. I'm Jason McClellan.
And I'm Maureen Elsberry. Thanks for joining us.
We are here to discuss the news, so here are some of the space and UFO stories that have made headlines recently.
Tourists in Nevada recently got a little more than they were bargaining for when their tour guide accidentally passed the no trespassing signs and drove into Area 51.
KLAS investigative journalist George Knapp, who was credited with putting Area 51 on the map back in 1989, recently did a story about this Area 51 tour mishap, which happened to be captured on video.
The tour van that crossed the line was from Adventure Photo Tours. Co-owner Donna Tyron told KLAS that their Area 51 tour includes a lot of stops that have become famous in the area, but the spot most people want to see is where you can see the keep out signs.
She says that their drivers are very careful not to pass the signs and warn passengers you can't go over that line, and if you step over that line, you're on your own.
Although Tyron says her drivers are careful, there are bound to be mistakes in any business. When your business is taking people to the edge of a top secret facility, the mistakes that one can make are a little more interesting. In this case, while cruising down the dirt road leading to Area 51, Dennis Ryan, the driver of the tour van, was distracted by a question about sports, so he missed the warning sign, and a minute or two later, his passengers noticed they were being followed by a white truck.
After being stopped, the tour group had to wait for Lincoln County deputies to arrive. All passengers and the driver were cited for trespassing and given court dates. They were each facing a $650 fine and a misdemeanor conviction. On the video, the driver can be heard apologizing to the tourist for his mistake.
Lincoln County District Attorney Dan Hogue did not believe the incident was an accident. He thought the group was intentionally testing their luck to see what would happen if they crossed the signs.
Fortunately, however, when KLAS contacted the DA to ask him about the case, the news station informed him that the entire incident was recorded on video. And after reviewing the video, the DA recognized that the expression on the face of the driver was shock, not someone intentionally looking for trouble. The charges were dropped for all but the driver, who is now barred from Area 51 tours for at least 2 years.
The one condition the DA did require for dropping the charges against the passengers was that the forward-facing video on the tour van not be made public. Knapp clarifies that this was because the camera caught security trucks coming from inside the base. He says, for the record, there were no shots of flying saucers or secret aircraft.
Scientists believe the conditions may be suitable for present-day alien life on Mars to flourish.
Atmospheric, Oceanic, and Space Sciences professor Nilton Reno is one of the scientists who participated in the new study from the University of Michigan, which, as RT explains, claims that water near and on the surface of Mars melts rapidly enough when combined with salt to allow bacterial life to flourish, despite the freezing temperatures on the planet.
Reno has worked with NASA on a number of projects during his career, and this recent study was sponsored by NASA's exobiology program. Reno noticed droplets of what appeared to be water on the robotic arm of the Phoenix lander when it arrived on Mars in 2008. And after discovering soft ice in the first trench dug by Phoenix, Reno speculated that the soft ice was frozen saline water or brine.
So, to test his theory, Reno and his research team constructed a cylindrical chamber 2 feet high and 5 feet long to replicate the atmospheric conditions of the Martian polar region where Phoenix landed.
The research team placed a salt particle detected on Mars called calcium perchlorate on an ice layer inside this chamber. Water was created by this interaction. Reno explains, based on the results of our live experiment, we expect soft ice to liquefy a few days per year, perhaps a few hours per day, almost anywhere on Mars.
He further explains, a small amount of liquid water for a bacteria that will be a big swimming pool. So a small amount of water is enough for you to create conditions necessary for Mars to be habitable today.
Findings by the Phoenix lander in 2008 and recent discoveries by the Mars Curiosity rover indicate that perchlorate could be widespread across the planet. The team's research has been accepted for publication in the journal Geophysical Research Letters.
Journalist Leslie Kane recently published a story about an interesting UFO investigation by the Chilean government.
The Chilean government, one of the few governments to have an official UFO investigation organization, recently released a report regarding their investigation of 2 UFO photographs taken by miners in a secluded area of the country. The Chilean UFO organization is called the Committee for the Study of Anomalous Aerial Phenomena, known as CFAA, and is part of their Ministerial Department of Civil Aeronautics, or DGAC, which is similar to the FAA in the United States. The purpose of this organization is to identify UFOs in Chilean airspace as a matter of air safety.
Leslie Kane has a close relationship with Cefa'a, and she posted details about the photos taken by the miners in her blog for the Huffington Post. She says the pictures were taken at a copper mine in a remote location in northern Chile.
The UFO was spotted by 4 technicians in April of 2013. Now, they say they saw a disc-shaped object hovering and moving around in the sky for more than an hour. They estimate the object was 2,000 feet in the air. It made no sound. The witnesses captured 2 photos of the object before it finally moved off to the east, where they lost sight of it.
Although the incident occurred more than a year ago, the witnesses didn't originally tell anyone out of fear of being ridiculed. Cefa'a only learned about the photos in February of 2014. The 4 original witnesses did not want to talk to Cefa'a, even though they were told they could do so anonymously. Their supervisor did relay what information he knew, and he also asked to remain anonymous.
Cefa'a examined the photos and ruled out weather phenomenon and man-made objects. They noted that drones are used in the area, but did not believe the object in the images to be a drone. International Affairs Director Jose Ley said people in that zone know about drones. Fishing companies use drones and they make a lot of noise. This was definitely not a drone.
According to Kane, investigators determined that soft rays seen in one of the photos were reflected from an extremely luminous half-sphere. Kane says the analysts concluded that the object emitted its own energy that does not coincide with the natural sunlight, which is also reflected off the object. At noon, the brightness underneath could not have been caused by the sun, which was reflected off the top.
Cefa'a concluded it is an object or phenomenon of great interest, and it can be qualified as a UFO. The object remains unidentified.
A witness claims that his video shows UFOs landing in a forest in southern France.
The witness, who runs a UFOs and Disclosure YouTube channel, uploaded this video on July 5th with the sensational title, "Disturbing UFO Activity, 3 UFOs Landing in Forest, July 2014. 3 aerial objects are visible floating above the tree line in the distance. One of the 3 UFOs illuminates with flashes of light. Then shortly after, a 4th object to the right of the original 3 objects also displays flashes of light."
The witness provided the following description with the video. "I filmed 4 UFOs over a forest in Dordogne, France. It was during a beautiful sunset. I looked between 2 houses to discover the nice sky. When I saw these objects, I had my Canon 700D in hands. Hopefully I could record quickly. I think these objects were there since a long time. This is probably a landing. Indeed, the 3 objects seemed to descend and get behind the trees."
He continues, "I couldn't know more about this event. This is a ghost village, only 50 inhabitants in the area. None of them was outside to witness these UFOs with me. I checked on Google Map, and the forest in front of me is alone in the middle of a huge lands. I don't see how anyone else could have seen them too." It's unclear why the witness found this incident disturbing, especially considering that the other videos allegedly filmed by him, like a massive UFO flying saucer landing on Earth and a huge UFO patroller filmed landing on mountain, are much more shocking.
French daily newspaper Sud-Ouest reportedly attempted to contact JEPON, a department of the French space agency that investigates unidentified aerospace phenomena, to get an opinion on the UFO video, but apparently JEPON could not be reached for comment.
News website The Local asserts that so far scientists have been unable to come up with an explanation for the aerial object in the video. But the behavior and appearance of these objects is consistent with that of hot air balloons. Although some have commented that hot air balloons don't land in the forest, it's really impossible to determine the exact landing location from the witness's vantage point, and hot air balloons are actually a common tourist activity in that area of France.
And I think that we have clear, well, not totally clear, but signs that indicate that these could be hot air balloons by the flashes of light being the heat source used to raise these. Again, we don't have confirmation that these objects actually landed in the forest. No other witness, very sensationalistic titles, and lots of other videos that are seemingly dubious.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the YouTube channel of this individual is the biggest red flag of all, because there are some pretty hoaxy videos on that channel, and the sensational titles alone are a big issue here. But we've had people contact us from that region and other parts of France saying, yeah, I don't understand why this is making news, because it's obviously hot air balloons.
Right.
And there are big hot air balloon companies there that fly thousands of flights a year. to me, it seems pretty obvious to be hot air balloons. It could be something else. Again, we don't have much detail from the video, can't tell where it landed. And I will point out that hot air balloons could land in the forest. They land on people's houses. They land all over the place. It's kind of difficult to determine where your hot air balloon is going to land. So it does happen, but I don't think this is UFOs landing in a forest. That's just my opinion.
Well, let's talk about this more interesting case, which is the Chilean government's investigation of this UFO photo. It's very interesting, but it's kind of one of those things where it's hard to tell what the object could be.
Well, that's the case with a lot of these UFO photos. You know, it's a mysterious object in the sky, difficult to determine much, and you're relying completely on people who are analyzing the photo. And, you know, it's debatable what can be determined from photo analysis and different processes done to determine physical object and hard edges and light reflection sources and things like that. It is fascinating that they do believe this object had its own light source, was emitting light separately from the reflections. That's fascinating. But I do like this case. I hope they find more. It would be great if they could talk to the actual witnesses.
I know, it's always such a bummer. And, you know, there's really the goal that the stigma is going to decrease in future years, because that makes it easier for people to come forward, and especially if they were anonymous. And I find it slightly odd that the witnesses felt afraid to do so in a country where their government officially investigates UFO sightings.
Yeah, you would think that would help a lot. Remove that stigma, make it more approachable and accessible for people to report things. And look, it's not like I don't think they thought they were going to lose their jobs. I mean, they told their supervisor, and their supervisor's the one who ended up reporting it. So, but yeah, it's unfortunate that that stigma is so strong, even in a country where UFOs are officially investigated, that people still feel that ridicule factor.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think that hopefully this case continues to be investigated, and
FFA is doing great stuff down there. So
we'll find out more information.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that is all for this episode of Spacing Out. Remember to visit our website, openminds.tv, for all the latest UFO news. And if you like podcasts, check out Open Minds UFO Radio on iTunes or at openminds.tv/radio. And if you will be at the 2014 MUFON Symposium in Cherry Hill, New Jersey this weekend, make sure to stop by our table in the vendor room and say hi. The entire Open Minds team is going to be there.
And don't forget that UFO Congress registration is open. Earliest registration ends September 1st, so get the best rates. Go to ufocongress.com to find out more. Again, that's at February 18th through the 22nd in Fountain Hills, Arizona.
Yep.
And if you enjoyed today's show, make sure to click on the like button, leave us your comments, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks again for joining us. I'm Maureen Elsberry.
And I'm Jason McClellan. We will see you in the future.